Today, we're breaking down the definite article de in Spanish, which can be tricky at times because we don't have a single article, we have four. But don't worry, we are going to review them together with examples. Welcome to Sharp's Spanish. Let's begin. Los artículos determinados, or los artículos definidos, are the equivalent to the definite article de in English. The Spanish language has four definite articles: el, la, los, las. When we use the article de with a noun, we are indicating that noun to be a specific, unique thing the listener or reader knows. For example, I'm going to the park. In this sentence, I'm referring to a specific park, and the person I'm telling this to knows which one exactly, maybe one that is near my house. But if I say, I'm going to a park, with no context or without having previously mentioned this park, the person I'm telling this to will be left wondering which park I'll be going to, because it could be any. As I said, there are four artículos definidos in Spanish. The appropriate definite article we need to use in a sentence depends on two variables: the gender of the noun, is it masculine or feminine, and the number of the noun, is it singular or plural. If the noun is masculine and singular, we will need to use the article el. For example, el hombre. If the noun is masculine and plural, we will need to use the article los. For example, los hombres. If the noun is feminine and singular, we will need to use the article la. For example, la mujer. If the noun is feminine and plural, we will need to use the article las. For example, las mujeres. This is simple enough, but knowing the gender of some nouns can be tricky for non-Spanish speakers. Being able to seamlessly recall the correct article for a Spanish noun requires practice and having a basic understanding of the rules that define the gender of nouns. So, let's take a look at them. Generally, nouns that end in a, dad, ed, and tad are feminine, while nouns that end in an e, l, n, o, r, or s are masculine. Of course, there are exceptions. Let's review them together, starting with the feminine nouns. Remember, nouns that end in a, dad, ed, and tad are generally feminine. There are many nouns that end in a, such as la casa, la lista, la lavadora, but there are quite a few exceptions as well. Some notable ones are el problema, el mapa, el planeta. Nouns that end in dad or tad have hardly any exceptions, so whenever you encounter one of these, you should be safe using the la article. Some examples of nouns ending in dad are la ciudad, la edad, la verdad. Examples of nouns ending in tad are la amistad, la tempestad, la mitad. Nouns that end in ed tend to be feminine, as in la red, la pared, but there are exceptions like el huésped, el césped. Now, let's take a look at the masculine nouns and their exceptions. Remember, nouns that end in an e, l, n, o, r, and s are generally masculine. There are many nouns that end in an e, that are masculine, such as el nombre, el jefe, el arte. But there are also plenty of them that are feminine. La llave, la madre. There are also many nouns that end in an N that are masculine, but there are also plenty of them that are feminine. Examples of the masculine nouns are el jardín, el avión, el huracán. Examples of the feminine nouns are la canción, la imagen, la estación. Nouns that end in an L tend to be masculine, such as el metal, el ángel, el baúl. But there are exceptions such as la catedral, la señal. Nouns that end in an S also tend to be masculine. For example, el país, el interés. There are some exceptions though, such as la crisis. Most nouns that end in an O are masculine, like el ojo, el castillo, el invierno. Very few of them are feminine, like la mano. Nouns ending in an R are generally masculine, such as el collar, el conductor, el bar. There are a few that are feminine, like la labor, la mujer. Most nouns will hold their gender when turned into their plural form, which means we only need to change the feminine article la to las and the masculine article el for los. Out of all the examples we've seen, only one has an exception. Let's review them in their plural forms. Nouns ending in an A. Feminine. Las casas, las listas, las lavadoras. Masculine. Los problemas, los planetas, los mapas. Nouns ending in dad, tad, and ed. Feminine. Las ciudades, las edades, las verdades, las amistades, las tempestades, las mitades, las redes, las paredes. Masculine. Los huéspedes, los céspedes. Nouns ending in an E. Masculine. Los nombres, los jefes. Careful here with el arte. When it changes into its plural form, we need to use the feminine plural definite article, so it becomes las artes. Feminine. Las llaves, las madres. Nouns ending in an N. Masculine. Los jardines, los aviones, los huracanes. Feminine. Las canciones, las imágenes, las estaciones. Nouns ending in an L. Masculine. Los metales, los ángeles, los baúles. Feminine. Las catedrales, las señales. Nouns ending in an S. Masculine. Los países, los intereses. Nouns ending in an O. Masculine. Los ojos, los castillos, los inviernos. Feminine. Las manos. Nouns ending in an R. masculine. Los collares, los conductores, los bares. Feminine. Las labores, las mujeres. Before we finish, let me bring to your attention a very special case. The noun agua, which means water. Agua is a feminine noun, but it almost always uses the masculine article el, as in el agua. The reason for this exception is the intonation that agua has. The combination of the article la plus agua makes it very difficult to pronounce and to hear. La agua just doesn't sound right. So, in the example, el agua del grifo, we need to use the masculine article. However, when the particle is not next to the word agua in a sentence, the feminine article la should be used. For example, es la misma agua. Similarly, since the plural article las ends in an s, the plural noun aguas will always use the feminine article las. For example, las aguas residuales. Because of this, we can have two sentences like these ones. El agua del mar, las aguas del mar, and have to use a different gender for the article. One very last comment on the Spanish articles. There are other nouns that can use both the feminine and the masculine articles. This is the case of many occupations, which use the same noun with the masculine and the feminine articles. At the same time, there are plenty of occupations, such as doctor, lawyer, and teacher, that have a masculine and a feminine variant of their noun in Spanish. If you'd like to find out more about this, check out the video on the occupations in the description box below. That's it. What do you think about the Spanish articles? Are there any specific nouns you struggle with when you need to pair them with their article? I know the articles may be a bit confusing, but understanding the general rules and watching out for the exceptions really go a long way. So don't stress yourself too much. The more you practice them, the easier it will be for you to recognize the patterns without having to actively think about them. If you'd like to practice what you've learned today, check out the companion video to this lesson. You may also want to review the video on the indefinite articles because mastering all of them will help you sound like a native. Don't forget to subscribe for new videos every week, and if there is a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. Until the next one, hasta luego!